A year has passed since the fires of war burned across Teginia, since kingdoms clashed, since the world itself seemed ready to break. And now, Iredell stands stronger than it ever was. The castle rises high above the waters, its towers rebuilt, its walls thicker, its presence undeniable. Morning sunlight stretches across the stone, brushing gold over every tower, every edge, every scar that once marked its weakness. Those scars are gone now, replaced by strength, surrounding the castle. The waters remain alive, still, watchful. Beneath the surface, the creatures wait, silent guardians of Gregory's domain, a warning to any who would dare return. And across the entire land of Teginia, there is order. Every town, every city, every leader obeys. King Gregory's rule has spread farther than ever before. Everything is going his way, but peace is not the same as loyalty. His enemies still live. They remember. They remember the destruction, the battles, the losses they suffered under his command. They hate him. But hatred alone is not enough. They have no armies left to challenge him, no strength to rise against him, no courage to stand in the open and speak his name in defiance. So they do what the rest have done. They bend the knee, and the world grows quiet. No one is brave enough to fight him again. No one speaks up. Only a few voices remain, scattered, distant, barely more than whispers in the wind. And whispers do not break walls. So life continues, markets reopen, homes are rebuilt, trade begins to flow once more between the towns of Teginia. People move forward, not because they trust Gregory, but because they must live under him. And Gregory understands this. He knows fear can win a war, but it cannot hold a kingdom forever. So he makes a decision. In the great city of Teginia, within the massive stone Colosseum, a new event is announced to the world. A celebration, a gathering, a spectacle meant to be seen by all. The 32-man fighting tournament. Fighters are called from every corner of the land, from distant towns, from broken cities, from places still healing from war. Warriors of all kinds will come. Knights, mercenaries, champions, survivors, men searching for glory, men desperate for gold, men with something to prove. A grand prize awaits the victor. More than enough to change a life, more than enough to draw even the most reluctant fighters into the arena. And with them come the people. Vendors travel from town to town, bringing goods, food, and trade. Crowds gather in numbers, not seen since before the war. The streets of Teginia begin to fill again with life, with noise, with hope to the people. This is unity, a chance to heal, a step toward peace. But for King Gregory, this is something else entirely, because while the crowds cheer, while the fighters clash, while the world celebrates, Gregory watches. He watches for strength, for skill, for power. The best fighters will reveal themselves in his arena. The strongest will rise above the rest, and the ones who still doubt him will have nowhere left to hide. Because this tournament is not just a celebration, it is a test. A king like Gregory does not wait for loyalty. He creates it, he builds it, he takes it, and through this tournament, he will shape the future of Teginia, recruiting the strongest, influencing the uncertain, drawing even his enemies closer, whether they realize it or not. Because in Gregory's world, every move has a purpose, every event has a cost, and as the gates of the Colosseum prepare to open, as the fighters begin to arrive, as the crowds gather in anticipation, one truth remains. The war may be over, but King Gregory is far from finished.
Sign up for the Iredell tournament.
The announcement did not travel slowly. It did not wait. It did not hesitate. Before the morning birds had even finished their first song, the news was already spreading across the land of Teginia, from rooftops to markets, from alleyways to open roads. It moved like wildfire. A tournament, 32 fighters, at Iredell. Messengers raised their voices in crowded streets, their words echoing between stone buildings and narrow paths. 32 invitations shall be extended to the greatest fighters in all of Teginia, by command of King Gregory of Iredell. The reaction was immediate. People gathered. They looked to one another with curiosity, excitement, even disbelief. Because in a land still recovering from war, entertainment had become rare. And this was something different. A grand tournament, a spectacle, a chance to witness strength, skill, and battle once again. But this time, without the fear of losing everything. "Who will fight?" voices called out from the crowd. "Who are the 32? Rumors began to spread just as fast as the announcement itself. Names whispered in corners, arguments sparked in the streets, guesses thrown around with growing excitement. Some spoke of warriors from Royswood. Others mentioned the rats of Jark. Some believed knights from Warlington would surely take part. Everyone had an opinion. No one had the list, except one. A worker from the Iredell Coliseum moved carefully through the streets, holding a simple sign high above his head. Fighter list. But the truth behind it was clear. An invitation meant nothing, unless the fighter answered it. Those who refused would be replaced. 32 would fight. No matter what, and the date had been set. 1 month, just enough time for the chosen fighters to travel, to prepare, to decide if they were brave enough to step into Gregory's arena. Back within the walls of Iredell Castle, King Gregory worked in silence. Seated at a heavy stone table, he wrote each invitation by hand, slowly, carefully, deliberately. And to the winner, he murmured to himself. His pen moved again. Gold, status, a pause, a smile, and control of Lexington. The reward was no accident. It was not generosity, it was strategy. To grant land, to grant power, to grant control, was to create loyalty. A champion with something to protect was a champion that could be trusted. And Gregory knew exactly what he was doing, one by one. The invitations were sealed, folded, sent, dropped into the system that would carry them across Teginia. And then he waited. But Gregory did not remain hidden. He stepped beyond his castle walls. He traveled, town to town, face to face, with the very people he had once fought against. In Jark, he stood among the rat soldiers, offering a hand instead of a weapon. In Royswood, he greeted the blue-skinned warriors, meeting their eyes with a calm, confident smile. In Warlington, he approached hardened knights, men who had once stood against him in battle. Some looked at him with suspicion, some with anger, some with quiet restraint, but none turned away, because despite everything, the tournament had captured their attention, and Gregory understood something simple. Everyone loves a good fight. He gave out food, he offered aid, he spoke with patience, with control, with purpose, because Gregory did not just want obedience anymore. He wanted belief. He wanted to be seen as fair, as generous, as a king worth following. But behind the smiles, behind the handshakes, behind the promises, his plan remained unchanged. The strongest fighters all gathered in one place, at the same time, inside his walls, inside his arena, where he could see them, study them, judge them, and, if needed, control them. As the Colosseum stood ready, empty for now, waiting, only one thing was certain. This tournament would be more than a show. It would shape the future of Teginia, and King Gregory would be watching every moment of it. King Gregory's speech. Look at them, all of them, gathered beneath my walls. He smiles slowly. They cheer, they celebrate, they call this peace. But do you know what peace truly is? Peace is control. Not the kind spoken of in stories, not the kind sung about by fools and dreamers. No, peace is when no one dares to rise against you, when kingdoms bow without being asked, when enemies lower their heads, not because they forgive you, but because they fear what happens if they don't. A pause, his expression sharpens, and I have given them that peace. I broke their armies. I shattered their alliances. I turned their strength into silence. And now they stand here, in my world, under my rule, pretending this is unity. He chuckles quietly. Let them pretend. Because while they celebrate, I prepare. You see, a king who wins a war is only half a king. A true ruler builds what comes next. And what comes next is power that cannot be challenged. That is why the Iredell tournament exists. He steps forward slightly, voice lowering, more intense, not for their entertainment, not for their peace, but for me. I will see them all. The strongest, the fastest, the most dangerous. They will come willingly. They will fight willingly. They will reveal everything they are. Right here, in my arena. No hiding, no armies, no alliances, just strength. And I will choose. The weak will fall. The average will be forgotten. But the exceptional, they will stand before me. And I will offer them something greater than glory. Purpose, gold, status, land, Lexington. A grin spreads across his face. Yes, let that word spread. Let them dream of ruling something of their own. Let them believe they are rising. Because every man who rises under me belongs to me. They will not fight against me. They will fight for me. And when the time comes, when another threat rises, when whispers try to become voices again, I will not face them with tired armies. I will stand with champions, the finest fighters in all of Teginia, bound not by fear, but by reward, by ambition, by the power I placed in their hands. He lifts his chin slightly, eyes burning with certainty. Some call this manipulation. I call it leadership. Because a king who cannot command loyalty does not deserve to rule, and I, he smiles wide, almost too wide, will rule everything. Meanwhile, far from the towering walls of Iredell, in the lively town of Prasso, the streets come alive. Colorful banners stretch across rooftops. Music echoes through the air. The scent of fresh food fills every corner of the town. It is time, once again, for Mayor Vasquez's yearly festival, a celebration of victory, of survival, of battles fought and won. Tables are filled with food, meat, bread, and sweets laid out for all to enjoy. The people gather in large numbers, laughing, dancing, drinking, not just the townsfolk of Prasso, but visitors from across Teginia. Because everyone knows, when Prasso celebrates, it celebrates big. At the center of it all stands Mayor Vasquez, a strong man, a hardened leader. His presence alone commands respect. Across his chest, bandoliers of ammunition. At his side, a weapon never far from reach. He is not just a mayor. He is a fighter, a man who has stood in battle, a man who has seen war up close. and a man who knows exactly how to win it. With a loud crack, bang! He fires his weapon into the sky. The crowd erupts. Cheers explode across the town square. "We celebrate victory!" he shouts, and they believe him. The music grows louder. The laughter spreads. A small dog dances through the crowd, drawing smiles and joy from those nearby. Children run freely through the streets. Families embrace. People raise their drinks high into the air. Yeah! The voices roar together. To them, this is freedom. But beneath the celebration, there is something else. Because Mayor Vasquez is more than a leader, he is a loyal ally. To King Gregory, Gregory is taking care of Praso, gold, resources, protection, everything Vasquez needs has been provided. And in return, Vasquez stands with him. During the war at Iredell, it was Vasquez who helped defend the castle from above, a deadly marksman, precise, unforgiving. His skill with firearms turned the tide. His presence ensured victory, and Gregory did not forget that. So, the partnership continues. Vasquez respects Gregory, appreciates him, trusts him, or at least, that's what the people believe. Because here in Praso, the message is clear. Victory is strength, strength is survival, and survival comes from standing with the right side. But the truth is far more complicated. The people cheer for freedom, but they do not see the chains. They celebrate victory, but they do not question who truly benefits from it. They believe Gregory is helping them, protecting them, guiding them, when in reality, he is shaping them, controlling them, convincing them that they need him. Praso is strong, independent, capable of standing on its own, but that idea has slowly been buried, replaced by something else. Dependence, loyalty, obedience. And so the festival continues. Music plays, people laugh, children smile, the crowd celebrates late into the night. And at the center of it all, Mayor Vasquez stands proudly, a symbol of strength, a symbol of victory, and unknowingly, a piece of something much larger. Because what they call freedom may not be freedom at all.
Mayor Vasquez's festival speech. My people of Praso, look around you. He raises one revolver toward the sky, the other at his side. Look at these streets. Look at your families. Look at this town. This is what we fought for. The music, the food, the laughter, the children running freely without fear. This is not luck. This is victory. He pauses, he scans the crowd. And victory is never given, it's taken. Taken by those strong enough to stand their ground. Taken by those brave enough to fight when others run. Every brick in this town, every meal on these tables, every smile you see today was earned. Earned through battle, through sacrifice, through strength. You all remember what it was like when enemies came to take what was ours, when they thought Praso was weak, when they believed they could walk into our land and claim it. His voice hardens. They were wrong. We showed them who we are. We are not a town that bends. We are not a people that breaks. We fight. And because we fight, we are free. The crowd begins to react, cheers rising. Freedom is not a gift. It is not something you wait for. It is not something someone hands to you. Freedom is protected by strength. And if you are not strong enough to protect it, you lose it. He steps forward, lowering his voice just slightly. That is why this festival matters. This is not just celebration. This is remembrance. We remember who we were. We remember what we faced. And we remind ourselves that we will never go back to that. He lifts both revolvers now, pointing them upward. As long as I stand before you, as long as Prazo stands together, no one will take this from us again. The crowd erupts louder now. But listen to me. The world beyond Prazo is changing. Stronger forces, bigger powers, kings and armies that reshape lands, and we must be ready to fight, ready to defend, ready to prove again and again that we are not to be challenged. He lowers one weapon pointing toward the people, because the moment we grow weak, the moment we grow comfortable, that is the moment everything we build is taken. So celebrate today. Eat, drink, laugh with your families, but never forget what it took to earn this life and what it would take to keep it. Y por then a slight grin forms. Victory gave us freedom and strength. We'll make sure we never lose it. Final line, crowd chant moment. Now raise your voices with me for Prazo.
Meanwhile, behind the towering walls of Iredell, far from the laughter of festivals, and far from the cheers of the people, the real game is being played. Within the stone halls of the castle, King Gregory stands beside his newest weapon. Knowles, once just another knight among many, now the number one, since the fall and disappearance of Phillicent. There was a void, a space at Gregory's side, one that could not remain empty, and Knowles filled it, a silent figure, a dangerous one. His armor gleams under the dim torchlight, his presence alone enough to unsettle even seasoned soldiers. He keeps his face hidden, always behind that cold, unyielding helmet. Some say it is pride, some say it is mystery, but the truth is far simpler. Shame. Knowles hides his face because of what he believes others would see, his teeth, and yet, behind the steel, he is no different than any other man. Curly white hair, dark skin, a warrior forged by battle. But what truly sets him apart is not how he looks. It is what he is willing to do. I will win the fighting tournament. His voice echoes, steady, confident. He raises a hand, and in his palm, fire forms, a glowing, unnatural flame, shaped like a triangle, burning without consuming. King Gregory watches and smiles. Ha! I'll take all the gold. Gregory laughs, but they both know this is not about gold. This is about power. The tournament was never just for the people, never just for the towns of Teginia. Iredell will fight too, and Knowles will be their champion. Gregory wants him to win, to claim the prize, to take Lexington. Because a ruler placed by Gregory is a ruler controlled by Gregory, but Gregory's no fool. He prepares for every outcome. If Knowles wins, they gain land. If he does not, they gain something else. Knowledge. The strongest fighters will reveal themselves, and Gregory will take them, recruit them, break them, turn them. King, who do I fight? Knowles asks. Gregory leads him to the table, where the tournament bracket rests, empty, waiting, because no fighters have arrived yet, no matchups decided, no battles begun. But Gregory leans in, grinning. If you need help, holler. The meaning is clear. This tournament will not be fair. And if Knowles needs an advantage, Gregory will give it to him. Because winning is all that matters. They laugh together. Low, dark, satisfied, a king, and his perfect knight. Knowles is everything Gregory wanted. Loyal, ruthless, unquestioning. A weapon that does not think, only obeys. But Knowles is not just a fighter. He is something more. In the shadows of the castle, he raises his hand once again. The flame returns, stronger, brighter, alive. Today I shall conjure the portal, he says. Be ready. The fire listens. As you wish. And then it answers. A massive column of flame erupts deep within the castle halls, roaring upward like something from another world, a portal, unnatural, uncontrolled, power beyond steel, beyond strength, beyond even war. Knowles stands before it, unmoving, unafraid, because for him, this is just another weapon, another tool for Gregory's will. Outside, the waters surrounding Iredale begin to stir. Shapes move beneath the surface. Crocodiles, dozens of them. Trained, conditioned. Deadly. Gregory has prepared them. Not just to guard, but to test. When fighters arrive, they will not be welcomed. They will be hunted, watched, measured, because Gregory does not trust strength until it survives fear. And as night falls over Iredale, the king and his knight walk along the water's edge, watching the creatures move below, planning, laughing, confident, because in their minds, the outcome is already decided. Knowles will win. Lexington will fall under their control, and the strongest fighters in all of Teginia will either serve them or be destroyed. The tournament has not begun, but the trap already has. Knowles's speech. They whisper my name now, not because they know me, but because they feel it. He slowly raises his hand, the flame forming above his palm. Steady, controlled. Power. Not loud, not reckless, controlled. You see, this tournament, he tilts his head slightly, voice calm, almost emotionless, was never a question. It was never a gamble. It was never a challenge. It is a slight pause, an outcome. I will win the fighting tournament, not because I hope to, but because I am meant to. The flame burns brighter. Every fighter who steps into that arena, they will come with ambition, with pride, with belief in themselves. And I will take that from them, one by one. I will strip away their confidence, break their rhythm, silence their strength. And when they stand before me, they will understand. This was never their story. It was mine. He clenches his hand slightly, the flame tightening, sharpening. Gold? He scoffs faintly. I do not fight for gold. Land? I do not fight for land. I fight because I am the strongest. And the strongest. He steps forward slightly, voice lowering, more dangerous. Does not ask permission to win. They take it. Lexington will fall under my name, not because it was given to me, but because I earned it. And those who survive, he pauses. The flame flickers. They will remember. They will speak of the knight who did not hesitate, who did not struggle, who did not fail. They will speak of inevitability. He slowly closes his hand, extinguishing the flame. I'm not here to compete. I am here to finish what has already begun. While the king laughs, while plans are made in torchlit halls, while warriors prepare for glory, there is another presence, inside Iredale Castle, quiet, hidden, watching, in a chamber far from the throne, far from the noise of strategy and war. She sits, Chelsea, the sister of King Gregory. To most, she's harmless, gentle, soft-spoken, a woman with a calm face, and a quiet smile. But appearances are often lies, because behind closed doors, Chelsea is something else entirely. In her hands, she holds it, a glowing orange sphere, small, perfect, almost alive. It pulses faintly, as if it breathes, and then it changes. The light shift, the glow sharpens, and the sphere transforms into something far more dangerous, a triangle of fire, burning without fuel, moving without wind. The same flame, Noel's commands, but hers feels different, darker. Bring the lights back from the sky, she whispers. The fire listens. It always listens. Chelsea raises her hand, her voice steady now. This fire holds power. And it does. Power that flows through her fingers, through her veins, through her very body. I feel the burns inside me. And she means it, because the fire does not stay in her hand. It lives within her. Her eyes flicker. For a moment, they are no longer her own. A faint glow, a presence, something watching from within. Chelsea practices again, careful movements, precise gestures. Pyroscape! A burst of light shoots forward, controlled, but unnatural. Her breathing steadies. I'm the Witch of Iredell. She says it proudly. But the truth is uncertain. Is she a witch, or is she something being shaped by something else? Because Chelsea was not always like this. Once, she was kind, gentle. She never wished harm upon anyone. But now, her thoughts linger in shadows. Her words carry weight. Her power feels wrong. And the fire never leaves her. Later, the flame grows still, and it shows her something, a vision. I've heard some fighters may come to steal the gold, she says quietly. But this is not rumor. This is warning. Signs of death and violence. The words leave her slowly, as if she does not fully control them. The fire speaks, and she listens. She turns to her brother, the king. But Gregory does not share her concern. Oh yeah, he responds, unimpressed. All the towns deport me now. His confidence is absolute, unshaken. He believes the world has bent to him, that no one would dare challenge him. Now, the tournament, he says, smiling, a symbol of power, of unity, of control. But Chelsea frowns. How so? She questions not just his words, but his certainty. Your Majesty, the light is giving me warnings. She holds the glowing orb tighter now, as if it might slip away. But Gregory laughs. Nonsense, Chelsea. He leans back, surrounded by gold, mountains of it, shining proof of his victories. We are too strong to be defeated? He raises a cup, grinning wide. We're rich? To him, that is all that matters. Power, gold, control. But Chelsea does not smile. The fire flickers again. Something is coming, and she can feel it. Ha ha! Pay it no mind, Gregory says. But she cannot, because the fire inside her will not let her. And as the castle rests, as the king celebrates, as the tournament draws closer, Chelsea stands alone, holding the light, unsure if she controls it or if it controls her. Because sometimes the warning is not the danger, it is the thing giving it.
Chelsea's witch speech. The fire whispers, soft and low, of things that only I can know. A glow of gold, a shining prize, but death is hidden in disguise. I see the crowds, I hear the cheer, but something dark is drawing near. Through dancing flames the truth is shown, a danger creeping to the throne. Gold, gold, it calls the brave, but gold can also mark a grave. Violence stirs beneath the light. It waits, it watches for the right night. My brother sits in power tall, believing none can make him fall. But crowns can crack, and kings can bleed, when blinded by their pride and greed. The fire burns inside my chest. It will not give my spirit rest. It shows me paths, both dark and dire, all written in this living fire. A thief, a shadow, cloaked in flame, no face, no past, no spoken name. They come not just for gold alone, but something deeper, yet unknown. I feel the heat beneath my skin, a war that's not yet to begin. Oh, Gregory, you do not see the fate that waits so close to thee. You laugh, you drink, you trust too much, but death may come with silent touch. So hear me now, before too late, before the fire seals your fate. I am the witch, I bear the sight, I read the warnings in the light, and I will stand where shadows creep, while others laugh, while others sleep. I'll guard the crown, I'll guard the gold, I'll break the fate the fire foretold. For though it burns and speaks of end, I choose the path that I defend.
In the shadow of the mountains, where the wind carries the scent of iron and smoke, lies Arvedon, a place not built for beauty, but for purpose. Stone towers rise like clenched fists against the sky, and within those walls the rhythm of steel never stops. Hammers strike, blades grind, sparks spit into the air like fireflies born of anger rather than wonder. This is not a land of kings and speeches. This is a land of work and weapons. And in the deepest corner of that relentless fortress, tucked behind racks of unfinished blades and barrels of black powder, labors a figure few care to approach. A pig, but not an ordinary one. Orval. He stands thick and grounded, like the very anvils he works on. His eyes, sharp, narrowed, constantly judging, burn with something colder than fire. Suspicion, calculation, hunger. Not for food, but for gold. A spiked helmet rests on his head, not for show, but because he expects trouble. Always. In his hands is a weapon, unlike the others, a heavy axe, forged with care but painted in a deep, unnatural purple. It's not decorative, it's personal. Every scratch on it tells a story of something or someone that got too close. Strapped to his back is a small sack labeled simply powder. No one asks what kind. No one wants to know. Orval doesn't laugh with the other workers. He doesn't drink. He doesn't celebrate. He grinds, blade after blade, hour after hour, muttering under his breath about how ungrateful everyone is, about how they don't understand what strength really looks like, about how one day, when he has enough gold, he'll leave all of them behind. High in the mountains, a house no one can reach, no voices, no crowds, just silence. The kind of silence you have to earn. And now, the opportunity has come. Nearly a month has passed since King Gregory of Iredell sent out his tournament invitations across Teginia. The promise of gold, enormous gold, and land has pulled fighters from every corner of the world, warriors, monsters, champions, and now a pig. Orval didn't hesitate when the invitation came. He didn't celebrate either. He simply packed his axe, tightened the straps on his powder bag, and walked out of Arvedon without a word. Through the woods he travels now. The trees, thick and watchful, light barely breaks through the canopy, casting long shadows that twist like silent warnings. But Orval doesn't walk carefully. He walks either confidently, arrogantly. "My name is Orval." The words come out not as an introduction, but as a declaration, as if the forest itself should already know who he is. He grips his axe tighter. "On my way to fight in the tournament." Leaves crunch under his feet. The air grows heavier. Something is watching him. A low growl rumbles from the trees. Then another. Bears, large, territorial, hungry. They emerge slowly, circling, their massive bodies dwarfing him. Any normal traveler would freeze or run. Orval does neither. "It's going to be an easy win," he smirks. Not at the tournament. At the bears. One steps closer, towering over him. Orville doesn't raise his axe. He doesn't prepare a stance. He simply walks forward and pushes. The impact is sudden, violent. The bear stumbles back, shocked not by pain but by the sheer force behind the small, stubborn creature in front of it. Another lunges. Orville shoves it aside like it's nothing more than a loose crate in the workshop. I'm confident. There's no fear in his voice, no hesitation, only certainty. I am too tough. The forest erupts with movement as the bears retreat, confused and unwilling to test him further. One by one, they back away into the shadows they came from, and Orville doesn't even look back. He adjusts the strap on his powder bag, rolls his shoulder, keeps walking, because in his mind, this was never a challenge. Ahead of him lies Iredale, the heart of power, deception, and ambition. A place ruled by a king known not for honor, but for control. Orville knows the stories. He knows King Gregory cannot be trusted. He knows Arvedon is no ally. He knows respect will not be given freely. But none of that matters, because Orville isn't going to Iredale to be respected. He's going there to win, to take the gold, to claim what others think they deserve. And if King Gregory tries to cheat him, manipulate him, or stand in his way, Orville tightens his grip on the purple axe, his eyes narrow. Then Iredale won't just be hosting a tournament, it will be hosting a problem. And Orville is not the kind of problem that gets solved easily.
Keep moving, big fella. That's what I thought. Another mile or two before dusk.
Orville's boots thudded steadily along the forest path as the trees began to thin. It had been a long, grueling walk, but the air was changing. The scent of water, stone, and something dangerous crept in. Ahead, through the last stretch of woods, the towering walls of Iredale Castle finally revealed themselves. He had made it, and not just that. He would be the first fighter to arrive for the great tournament in Teginia. A slow grin crept across his face. King Gregory's challenge was no secret. The waters surrounding the castle weren't just for defense. They were a test, a warning, a filter for the weak. Crocodiles. Orville stepped out of the forest and onto the muddy edge of the water. His eyes narrowed, the surface rippled, then split open with glowing, watchful eyes. Dozens of them. The crocodiles began circling. Orville didn't flinch. "Bears are tougher," he muttered, tightening his grip on his axe. The first crocodile lunged. Crack! His fist slammed into its snout, sending it recoiling. Another came from the side. He swung his axe, not to kill, but to shove it back into the water. More surged forward, snapping, thrashing, climbing over each other in a frenzy. But Orville moved faster, punches, swings, brutal force. He tore through them like a storm. Each strike sent another beast tumbling back into the water. The more they came, the harder he hit. His movements were raw, relentless, unstoppable. The water churned with chaos, but none of it slowed him. The crocodiles didn't stand a chance. Step by step, Orville forced his way forward until the shoreline gave way to solid ground beneath the castle walls. He didn't even look back. At the massive gates of Iredale Castle, 2 guards stood watch, unmoved and unimpressed. Orville approached, rolling his shoulders. 2 silver coins, one of them said flatly. Orville frowned, clearly annoyed, but only for a moment. He reached into his pack, pulled out the coins, and handed them over. "It'll cost me," he muttered, "but I'm winning all that gold anyway." The guards didn't respond. They simply opened the gate and motioned him inside. The castle halls were cold, stone-lined, and silent. Orville followed the guards through narrow corridors until they stopped at a small wooden door. "This is your room." Orville stepped inside and immediately scowled. The space was tight, bare, a bed, a small table, and little else. "This is too small," he snapped. The guards didn't care. "Deal with it," one said bluntly. "Get lost." The door shut behind them. Orville stood there, jaw clenched, anger simmering. Disrespect didn't surprise him. Iredale never respected animals from Arvidon, but it still burned. After a moment, he exhaled and dropped his pack. "Doesn't matter," he muttered. He placed his axe carefully against the wall, unpacked his things, and sat on the edge of the bed. The room might be small, but it was enough. Tomorrow was what mattered. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, thinking. The tournament, the gold, the fight. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Knock, knock. Orville stood and opened the door. A guard stood there. "The king provides a free meal before the fight," the guard said. "Whatever you want." Orville blinked. Then, slowly, a satisfied grin spread across his face. "The king respects my hunger," he said quietly. That, more than anything, pleased him. The guard left without another word. Orville closed the door, lay down on the bed, and pulled the covers over himself. For the first time that day, he relaxed. His eyes grew heavy, but his mind lingered on one final thought. What would he eat? A low chuckle escaped him as sleep finally took over. Tomorrow, he would fight, and tomorrow, he would feast. While Orville settles into the stone walls of Iredell, another story begins, far from the castle, in a place most have already forgotten. Amron. Once it was a jewel of Teginia. Golden halls shimmered under warm skies, clean streets stretched through lively markets, cafes served food so rich and rare, travelers crossed kingdoms just for a taste. The town thrived, peaceful, prosperous, alive, and among its people was a fighter unlike any other. Sirocco, a creature of sharp edges and quiet purpose. Half beetle, half caterpillar. He doesn't speak much, but he doesn't need to. His glowing green eyes say enough. He was the best fighter in Amron. Fast, precise, dangerous. His tail, his greatest weapon, strikes with terrifying speed, not just cutting, but burning. Every hit leaves a sting that lingers, festers, like regret itself. Few could withstand it. Fewer could survive it. But even strength like his couldn't stop what came next. War. King Gregory's war didn't ask who stood with him. It didn't care who stood against him. And it certainly didn't spare those who stood aside. Amron was neutral. It didn't matter. The battle for Iredell swallowed everything, and Amron was caught in the middle. Its streets became battlegrounds. Its homes became rubble. Fire climbed the walls where laughter once lived. By the time the banners fell, Amron was gone. The rich fled. The gardens turned to dust. The streets cracked and emptied. A ghost town. But not entirely. Sirocco stayed. While others ran, he remained among the ruins. Day after day, he wandered broken roads, sweeping debris, repairing shattered frames, trying alone to rebuild what war had taken. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe it was hopeless. But Sirocco believed something stronger than logic. He believed Amron could live again. That one day, the bugs would return. When the invitation came from Iredell, it wasn't meant for many. Only one remained in Amron. Sirocco took it, not for glory, not for pride, but for Amron. If he could win the tournament, if he could claim the gold and the land of Lexington, he could rebuild everything. Bigger, better, a home worth returning to. Before leaving, he found the only family he had left, his sister. She looked at him, uncertain, afraid, but Sirocco stood firm. "Sis, I will win the gold and help this town." There was no hesitation in his voice, no doubt, only purpose. He turned to leave, then paused. "Goodbye, sis." A quiet moment. Then he was gone, through the broken edges of Amron, across dirt paths and empty fields, into the wild woods, leading toward Iredell Castle. Sirocco moved with speed and determination, his tail raised like a promise to return, a promise to rebuild, a promise that Amron would not stay dead. The second fighter has entered the tournament. And unlike the others, he isn't fighting for victory. He's fighting for a home. The journey from Amron to Eridel was not long. The two lands nearly touched, split only by water and war's memory. Sirocco moved through the forest like a shadow with purpose. No beast dared challenge him. No predator stepped into his path. The woods felt it, the quiet danger in him. This was no ordinary traveler. This was a fighter. The trees parted, and there it stood, Iredell Castle, stone towers rising over dark water, and beneath them, movement. The surface stirred, crocodiles, dozens, King Gregory's test. Sirocco didn't slow down. The first crocodile lunged. Row, wow! His tail snapped forward like lightning, striking with burning force. The creature recoiled instantly, its jaw snapping uselessly at the air. Another surged from the side. Sirocco pivoted, claws digging into the ground, tail whipping again. Fast, precise, relentless, each strike didn't just wound, it burned. The crocodiles thrashed, disoriented, overwhelmed by speed they couldn't match. Sirocco leapt between them, carving a path with pure aggression and control. I'm not stopping, he hissed, not for this, not for anything. The water churned behind him as he advanced. One by one, the crocodiles fell back, until none stood in his way. Sirocco stepped onto the dry path leading to the gates, clean, untouched, earned. At the entrance, a guard waited. He looked down at Sirocco and paused. Not impressed, not threatened, just confused. You're just a bug, the guard muttered. Sirocco's eyes glowed. I am here to win the fight. The guard gave a small shrug, didn't believe him. But an invite was an invite. 2 silver coins, he said. Sirocco didn't argue. He paid, just like everyone else. The gates opened. Inside, the castle felt no different for him than it did for Orville. Cold, stone, unwelcoming. The guards led him down a narrow hall and opened a door. His room. Small, bare, a bed, a desk, nothing more. Sirocco looked around, unimpressed. This room isn't worth it, he said flatly. The guards laughed. Ha 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 ha. They didn't care. Not about him. Not about his opinion. To them, he was nothing. The door shut. Silence. Sirocco stood still for a moment, then exhaled. It didn't matter. He would have slept in the dirt if it meant winning. He climbed onto the bed, letting his body rest, but his mind stayed sharp, focused, on the fight, on the gold, on Amron. Knock, knock. His eyes opened. He moved to the door. 2 guards stood there. The king provides a free meal before the fight, one said. Whatever you want. Sirocco tilted his head slightly. That's nice, he replied. But I'm here for the gold. The guards looked at each other, then burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. Good joke. You don't stand a chance, one added. No way you're winning anything. More laughter, mocking, dismissive. They walked away, still chuckling, leaving him alone again. Sirocco didn't react, didn't argue, didn't chase them. He simply turned back into the room and lay down. Because deep down, he knew something they didn't. If he wanted to, he could have taken both of them down in seconds, but tomorrow wasn't about them. Tomorrow was about proving everyone wrong. Do not underestimate Sirocco.
far from the stone towers of Iredell, beyond the forests, beyond the ruins, out in the dusty hills where the sun burns hotter and the air carries music, there lies Brasso, a town not known for war, but for celebration. Parades filled with color, streets alive with laughter, music echoing through every corner, and in that lively chaos stands a man who doesn't quite fit the piece. Friccio, small in size, but never small in spirit. Friccio is the kind of man who doesn't walk away from trouble. He runs toward it. At festivals, while others dance, he fights. A shove turns into a brawl. A laugh turns into a challenge. And before long, Friccio is in the middle of it all, fists swinging, boots planted, refusing to back down. "Take this," he shouts, wild, fearless, grinning through the chaos. He misses sometimes, but he never stops. Life in Brasso isn't always celebration. Out in the hills, danger waits. Coyotes stalk the edges of town, hungry and bold. But Friccio meets them head on. With grit in his teeth and fire in his eyes, he swings his weapon and lets out a roar. Grrr! The coyotes learn quickly. This is not prey. This is a fight they don't want. And when the dust settles, when the noise fades and the night rolls in, Friccio sits at a worn wooden table gripping a mug of beer, quiet, still, thinking, not about the fights he's won, but about the ones still waiting. He may be small, he may be scrappy, but in a world of kings, beasts, and warriors, Friccio carries something just as dangerous, relentless spirit. Back in the lively streets of Brasso, Friccio moves the way he always does, restless, hungry, and waiting, not just for food, but for opportunity. He strolls through town with a taco in hand, chewing like a man with no worries, but his eyes tell a different story. They're always scanning, always looking. Friccio listens to the laughter, to the whispers, to the gossip drifting through the streets. Some people greet him with smiles and cheers. Gracias, Senor Friccio. They see him as a protector, a fighter, someone who stands up when things get rough. Others, they keep their distance. Not everyone trusts a man who enjoys a fight as much as he does, but Friccio doesn't let it bother him. This is his town, his people, and he knows how to keep things lively. A piñata hangs nearby, swaying in the breeze. Friccio grins. That's all the excuse he needs. With a tight grip on his weapon, crack! Candy bursts into the air as the piñata shatters. Kids cheer. Friccio laughs. It's not just about fun, it's practice. Always practice. As he continues through town, he comes face to face with a man who carries more weight than anyone else in Brasso. Mayor Vasquez, the leader, a man who doesn't hand out trust easily, but when he looks at Friccio, he nods, because he knows exactly what he's looking at. A fighter, one of his best. They shake hands, firm, respectful. Friccio, Vasquez says, "I've got something for you." He explains it clearly. King Gregory of Iredell is hosting a fighting tournament, and Friccio was chosen, not by chance, by recommendation. Vasquez himself told Gregory to send the invite. This wasn't just an opportunity, it was a favor, a big one. If you win, Vasquez tells him, there's gold and land. A lot of it, enough to change everything. Friccio's grin grows wide, the kind of grin that means trouble, the kind that means he's already picturing the fight. Mayor Vasquez places a hand on his shoulder. "I trust you," he says, and that's all Friccio needs to hear. He doesn't waste a second. Friccio turns and runs, straight through the streets of Brasso, past the people, past the noise, straight to his home. To the mailbox, he yanks it open. There it is, the letter, stamped, official. Invite, tournament. Friccio grips it tight, eyes locked in, determined, excited, ready, small, sure, but Friccio has never cared about size, only fight, only hard, only wanting, and now he finally has his chance. Friccio doesn't sit around waiting. The moment opportunity calls, he moves. I need a ride, he mutters, gripping his weapon with that familiar hungry grin. Walking isn't going to cut it this time. Praso may sit close to Taginia, but Iredele is farther, too far to waste time. So Frizio finds something better, a bike. The engine roars to life, and just like that, Frizio tears through the forest, wind whipping past him, dirt kicking up behind the tires, the sound echoing through the trees like a warning. No creature dares step in his path. The noise alone sends them scattering, fast, loud, unstoppable. This isn't just travel, it's a statement. Number one incoming. He mutters to himself, gripping the handles tighter. He believes it. Every second of the ride, he feeds that fire in his chest. He will win. No hesitation, no doubt. The forest begins to thin. The air changes. And then there it is, Iredale Castle. Frizio slows, but only for a moment, because between him and those gates, water, and in that water, movement. Cocodrilos. His grin sharpens. He drops the bike without a second thought, cracks his neck, tightens his grip on his weapon, and charges forward. The first crocodile rises. Crack! A direct hit to the skull. Another lunges. Smash! Frizio swings again, faster, harder, each strike echoing across the water. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't hesitate. One by one, they fall back, weakened, broken, afraid. Frizio doesn't stop until they do, until the message is clear. Not one of them is getting in his way. With the water now calm, he steps through it, boots splashing, weapon still in hand, and marches straight to the gates. A guard stands waiting. Frizio points back toward the water. What's with all the crocs? Protection? The guard answers simply. Frizio scoffs. Protection or not, he just tore through them. But then the guard looks closer. You're from Praso, he says. A nod of respect follows. Thanks for your help in the war. Frizio smirks. Finally, some recognition. After all, Praso fought for Iredale. He fought for them. He expects that to mean something. He steps forward, ready to walk inside. But suddenly, hands grab him. The guards stop him. 2 silver coins. Frizio freezes with, what? You pay or you leave. His expression darkens. I defended your castle, he says sharply, and you still charge me to stay here? No change, no sympathy, just the same cold rule. 2 coins. Frizio clenches his jaw. Charging me is an insult. But the guards don't care, not even a little. After a long moment, he pays, reluctantly, angrily. They take the coins and escort him inside. No gratitude, no respect, just business. They lead him down the same stone halls to the same kind of room every fighter gets. Small, bare, cold. One of the guards opens the door and gestures inside. And here's your dump. Frizio stares. For a second, he almost laughs. This is how they treat someone who fought for them? But then he exhales, lets it go. Because none of it matters. Not the room, not the guards, not the disrespect. He steps inside, gripping his weapon tighter. I'm not here to stay, he mutters. I'm here to win. And once he does, he'll take the gold and leave this place behind like it never mattered at all.
From the rugged lands of Selsmire village, where survival shapes strength and loyalty defines power, comes the 4th fighter. Wally Wolf, a wolf, but not just any wolf, a battle-hardened warrior, and the most trusted fighter under King Diagil. In Selsmire, that means everything. Wally stands tall among his kind, broad-shouldered, sharp-eyed, and always ready for a fight. He is known not only for his strength, but for his leadership. Others follow him, listen to him, respect him, because when danger comes, Wally is the one who steps forward, At the king's side, Wally is more than a soldier. He is a companion, a trusted ally. The two have stood together through war, through hardship, even through quiet moments, sharing drinks, laughing, trusting each other without question. Wally has always been King Diagil's #1 fighter, and Diagil has always believed in him. But belief can sometimes grow into something else. When Wally wants to sharpen his strength, he doesn't train with practice dummies. He goes into the forest, where the real danger lives. Bears, massive, violent, unforgiving. Wally charges them head on. Wow! One punch, enough to drop a beast. This is how he trains. This is how he proves to himself and everyone watching that he is one of the strongest in Teginia. Back in the woods, surrounded by other wolves, Wally shows off his strength in a different way. A tree stands tall. He grips his axe. Watch this. Chop! The trunk cracks and falls. Clean. Effortless. The other wolves stare, impressed, and Wally smiles. I should be king. The words don't come from anger. They come from something deeper, something quieter, something dangerous. Because Wally is not cruel. He is not evil. In fact, he is kind, loyal, a hard worker who helps his people, protects his land, and leads by example. But inside him, there is jealousy. He watches King Diagil sit on the throne, old, tired, worn down by time. And Wally thinks, that could be me. That should be me. He doesn't say it out loud in the castle. He doesn't challenge the king. Not yet. Because Wally is patient. He understands timing. He knows that one day, that throne may be empty. And when it is, he plans to be ready. But what Wally doesn't fully see is that strength alone doesn't make a king. Power earns respect, but people choose who they follow. And in Selsmire, many still look to humans before wolves. Still, that doesn't stop him, doesn't slow him down, doesn't silence the thought in his mind. One day, Wally Woof won't just be the strongest fighter in Selsmire. He'll be something more. The fourth fighter enters the story. And unlike the others, he's not just fighting for gold. He's fighting for a future crown. Near the cold borders between Selsmire village and the town of Arcta, Wally Woof works like he always does. Focused, unbothered, unstoppable. The swing of his axe echoes through the trees. Wood cracks, another tree falls. Wally doesn't stop. He doesn't like being interrupted when he's working. But this time, he is. A heavy voice cuts through the air. Why are you here? Wally turns. Standing before him is King Diagil, crowned, serious, watching. Wally straightens, slightly annoyed, but respectful. You came a long way, he says. Diagil raises a hand. We need to talk. There's weight behind those words. So Wally listens. Diagil steps closer. Want lots of gold and property? Wally's eyes narrow. He doesn't smile. Not yet. I'm listening. The king doesn't waste time. There's a tournament in Iredell. Wally's expression hardens instantly. Iredell. King Gregory. An enemy. What's the catch? Wally asks. Diagil answers plainly. Win it. Gold, land, Lexington. The words hang in the air, and something inside Wally shifts, because this isn't just about fighting. This is about something bigger, something he's thought about for a long time. A crown. Diagil watches him closely. You're my best fighter, the king says, and you could be more than that. That's all it takes. Wally exhales slowly, then nods. He takes the invitation. He doesn't like Gregory. He doesn't trust Iredale. But this is opportunity. And Wally Woof never ignores opportunity. He runs through the forest faster than most can even see. Trees blur past him. The ground shakes beneath his steps. No creature dares challenge him, not when they can feel the power in every stride. He is built for this. Soon, the trees open, and there it is, Iredell Castle. But between him and the gates, water, and in it, crocodiles. Wally stops for just a moment. Then he smiles. The first crocodile lunges. Too slow. Wally dodges instantly, grabbing its jaws mid-snap. With pure strength, he forces them apart. Then hurls the creature back into the water. Another charges. He slams it aside. Another thrown. Another crushed beneath his grip. Speed, power, control. The crocodiles don't stand a chance. Their teeth scrape his armor. Useless. Their numbers mean nothing. Wally tears through them like they're barely there. Soon, the water calms, and Wally walks forward, straight to the gates. The guards see him coming. They stiffen, whisper, recognize him. "A wolf," one mutters, "from Selsmire." An enemy. Wally growls low. "Grah." The tension is instant. "Smells like an enemy," one guard says. Wally steps closer, unfazed. "You guys look miserable." The guards don't like that, not one bit. "What brings you here?" they demand. Wally doesn't hesitate. "I have an invitation to fight." He shows it. The guards exchange looks, annoyed, but bound by orders. King Gregory's rule is clear. An invite is an invite, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. They step aside, reluctantly, but not before reminding him. 2 silver coins, same as everyone else. Wally scoffs, but pays. He knows the game now. Respect doesn't come easy in Iredell. As he steps inside, he casts one last look at the guards, unimpressed, unintimidated, because Wally Woof doesn't fear Iredell. He doesn't fear Gregory, and he definitely doesn't fear this tournament. Fast, strong, relentless. Who can keep up with him? Soon enough, everyone will find out. Morning breaks over Iredell Castle. Sunlight spills through the narrow stone window, cutting across the small, quiet room. For once, the night passed without trouble. Orville stirs. Slowly, then his eyes open. He sits up, stretching slightly, feeling it. Rest. Good rest. The kind that sharpens the mind and strengthens the body. Today is the day. But before any fight, there's something more important. Food, right on time. A knock. The door opens and a guard steps in, carrying a covered tray. "Good morning, Orville. Please enjoy your meal." Orville doesn't waste a second. The lid comes off. Meat, eggs, bread, a full plate. He digs in immediately. No hesitation, no manners, just hunger. And then, a drink. A thick, cold milkshake. He grabs it, takes a long pull, and lets out a satisfied grunt. This is what he needed. Fuel every bite, every sip, building him up, preparing him, strength for the rounds ahead. As he eats, a guard gestures toward the wall. The bracket's up. Orville stands, still chewing, and walks over. His eyes scan the board. Names, matchups. Then he sees it. Orville versus Sirocco. He pauses, just for a moment, then shrugs. "A bug," he mutters under his breath. No fear, no doubt. He finishes his meal, wipes his hands, and grips his axe tight. The weight feels right. Familiar? Ready. Orville turns back toward the room, eyes focused, expression hardened. It doesn't matter who stands across from him. Bug, beast, warrior. He's not here to hesitate. He's here to win. And the first fight is already decided. In the next stone room over, Sirocco is already awake. The dim light creeps through the window, but he doesn't need it. His glowing eyes are sharp, focused. Ready, he rises from the bed in one smooth motion, legs stretching, tail lifting behind him like a coiled weapon. He paces the room slowly, loosening up, feeling every joint, every movement. No stiffness, no hesitation, only readiness. A knock breaks the silence. The door opens. A guard steps in, carrying a heavy tray. "Plenty of good bug food," he says. Sirocco doesn't respond. He doesn't need to. The tray is set down. Fruit, cheese, chicken, everything he asked for. And in an instant, he devours it. Fast, relentless, efficient. A blur of movement as claws grab, tear, and consume. Grapes vanish in seconds. Meat disappears. Just as quickly. The guard watches, clearly uncomfortable. Maybe even a little disgusted. Sirocco doesn't care. Food is fuel. Nothing more. Within moments. The tray's empty. The guard clears his throat and pulls out a sheet of paper. "The bracket," he says, handing it over. Sirocco takes it, looks down. Names, lines, matchups. Then he sees it. Sirocco versus Orville. He pauses, tilts his head slightly. "A pig?" He doesn't laugh. He doesn't mock. But there's doubt there. Not arrogance. Just experience. He's never lost to a pig. Not once. Still, Sirocco knows better than to underestimate anyone. Not here. Not now. Because this isn't just a fight. This is Amren's future. He lowers the paper, eyes glowing brighter. Ready to win. Not for pride. Not for glory. For his town. For the ruins behind him. For the life he's trying to rebuild. Sirocco crouches slightly, claws pressing into the stone floor. Calm, focused, prepared for anything. Because no matter who stands in front of him, pig or not, he's fighting to bring Amren back to life. In another room, deep inside Iredell Castle, Friccio is still asleep. The sun has already risen. Light presses against the stone walls. But Friccio, still out cold, snoring, unbothered. A knock comes at the door. No answer. Another knock. Still nothing. The door creaks open. A guard steps in, carrying a tray. He looks over. Friccio is still sleeping. "Wake up!" Friccio stirs, grumbles, eyes half open, annoyed. Nobody likes being woken up. Especially not Friccio. He sits up slowly, rubbing his face, clearly irritated. But then he smells it. Food. That changes things. The guard sets the tray down. Fricio's mood shifts almost instantly. Still annoyed, but interested. He steps over and grabs what he wants. Chicken wings. That's all he needs. Friccio isn't a big eater, small body, light appetite. He eats quickly, chewing with focus, letting the food wake him up properly. Each bite settles him, centers him. By the time he's done, the irritation is gone. Now there's only one thing left. The guard gestures toward the wall. "The bracket." Friccio walks over, weapon resting in his hand, eyes scanning the chart. Names, lines, matchups. Then he sees it. Friccio versus Woolly Wolf. He pauses, raises an eyebrow. "A wolf. Big deal." He shrugs, plays it off, acts like it's nothing. But deep down, there's a flicker. A small one. Because he knows wolves. Strong, fast, dangerous. Still, Friccio tightens his grip on his weapon. A grin slowly returns. Fear or not, he's not backing down. Because that's not who he is. He steps away from the bracket, cracking his neck slightly. Let's see what he's got. The fight is set. In another chamber of Iredell Castle, Woolly Wolf finally wakes. He stretches in bed. A deep, slow yawn escapes him. No stress, no tension, just calm. Wolves sleep well. And Wally, he could sleep all day if he wanted, but not today. Today is different. His eyes open, sharp, focused. He sits up, already feeling it. Strength, energy, control. "I'm ready." A guard enters, carrying a heavy tray. Meat, plenty of it. Wally doesn't wait. He digs in immediately. No manners, no hesitation, just instinct. He tears into the food, devouring it like a true wolf. Fast, efficient, powerful, Every bite fuels him. Every chew builds momentum. Across the room, another guard steps in, more serious, holding something. I found out who you are fighting. Wally slows for just a second, then stands. The paper is raised, the matchup revealed. Wally Woof versus Fricio. Wally stares at it. A beat. Then, a grin spreads across his face. Fricio, he lets out a low chuckle, then louder. Ha ha ha. It builds, confident, almost mocking. A small fighter from Prasso. He shakes his head. This is my first round. To Wally, this isn't danger, this isn't pressure, this is practice. An easy start. He grips his axe, lifting it slightly, testing its weight. Good. His eyes narrow with excitement. Let's get this over with. In his mind, the fight is already decided, but the tournament has other plans.